The girl had been devoured by swarms of insects for 72 years, dying millions of times only to be reborn again and again. And it was all because of Hyan. His betrayal, carved deep into her very bones, finally ignited the fire of hatred in her heart. With a single slash, she cut down the once invincible beast, the monstrous insect splitting into two with a screech. Years ago, the hunter squad insisted on entering a hidden dungeon, all for the sake of a rare hidden item. Even when Jae desperately objected, no one listened. After all, she was just the weakest C-rank tank. The captain, Hyan, glared at her and snapped, "Do you have to humiliate me in front of the team? If you're that afraid of insect-type monsters, then quit. One less C-rank tank won't matter. Without me, do you think any other guild would even take you?" Jae lowered her head and whispered an apology, "I'm sorry. I was being selfish." But once they stepped into the hidden dungeon, the entire team froze in shock. Before them stretched a sea of insects, endless, swarming monstrosities covering every inch of ground. In the next instant, the swarm charged like thunder, the ground quaking under their massive bodies. The teammates rushed into battle while Hyan barked orders from the rear. "Jae, just hold the line. Leave the monsters to us." Jae clenched her teeth and held the line, refusing to retreat even as her shield cracked apart piece by piece. Yet no matter how many monsters her teammates cut down, the swarm surged endlessly, stacking like a mountain of black chitin. Panic spread among the team, voices rising as they begged the captain to make a decision. Jae, pushed to her limit and racked with pain, pleaded for Hyan to heal her. But when she turned her head, she froze. Every single teammate was already sprinting for the exit, abandoning her without a second glance. Shock hit her like a knife. Dropping her shattered shield, she too bolted desperately toward the massive gate. Yet just as she was about to escape, Hyan shoved aside the girl blocking his way and slammed the gate shut, locking Jae inside. She pounded on the door, screaming and sobbing, but it remained mercilessly sealed. The girl he had shoved aside shouted in outrage, "Are you insane? That's your girlfriend." Hyan only sneered, "So what? Jae will understand." In the next instant, a monstrous insect lunged straight at her. "I can't die here." Jae spun around and dashed toward the forest, clinging to the foolish belief that as long as she survived, Hyan would surely come back for her. She ran until she stumbled upon a skeletal tree formed from the remains of a giant insect, glowing faintly green. On one of its hand-shaped branches rested a ring. Her heart skipped a beat. Could this be a hidden item? The moment she slipped it onto her finger, a system window popped up before her eyes. Parasitic ring X rank. The description read, "Increases stats and vitality. Grants regeneration. User cannot die until incubation is complete." Jae stared at the glowing ring in disbelief, her heart racing with joy, yet she still had no idea how to use it. Before she could figure it out, the swarm closed in again. Agonizing pain ripped through her as the insects devoured her alive. Suddenly, the ring burst with an eerie green light and a cold mechanical voice echoed through the air. "Until incubation is complete, death is impossible." The next second, Jae jolted upright like a corpse returning to life. Wide-eyed, she looked down at her flawless body in shock. The swarm closed in on her once again, forcing Jae to turn and run. But in a heartbeat, a massive claw pierced straight through her body, the monster latching onto her back and tearing into her flesh. That same cold, mechanical voice echoed, "Until incubation is complete, death is impossible." She revived again, and again. The cycle repeated endlessly, devoured by the swarm millions of times. Each rebirth brought nothing but agony, her body shredded to pieces under insect fangs. She no longer hoped anyone would come to save her. In her despair, one thought consumed her. When will I finally be allowed to die? Just as her mind began to fracture, her eyes caught sight of a familiar weapon lying nearby, the longsword Hyan had once given her as a birthday gift. Hatred erupted inside her like a volcano. That bastard forced me into this dungeon for a hidden item, and then abandoned me here to rot. She seized the sword, pouring every ounce of her hatred into her arm and swung. The monstrous insect that once seemed unstoppable was cleaved clean in half with a single strike. The mechanical voice chimed again, "Monster slain. Strength +2. Jae froze. Was gaining power really this simple? The same creatures that once crushed her now fell before her blade, each kill as effortless as slicing through fruit. With every monster she cut down, Jay's accuracy, stamina, and other stats soared, while the ring automatically repaired her wounds. She threw back her head in manic laughter, shouting, "Come on, you filthy bugs. I'll slaughter every last one of you. I will escape this place." A twisted smile curved her lips. "My dear Hyan-chan, you'd better wait patiently for me." Suddenly, pain ripped through her abdomen as a massive pincer skewered her body clean through. In the very next heartbeat, she spun around and slashed. The giant insect split in half, its head crashing to the ground with a thunderous thud. Not a bad hit," Jay sneered, seizing the severed pincer and hurling it away with brutal force. Around her lay heaps of insect corpses, limbs and carapaces piled high. The swarm that once hunted her now hesitated, none daring to advance. More terrifying still, the gaping hole in her stomach was rapidly sealing shut, flesh knitting together under the eerie glow of the parasitic ring. Thousands of insects surrounded her, yet not a single one dared to move. "What's wrong?" Too scared to come closer. Her sword vibrated in her grip, humming with excitement at its master's bloodlust. Laughing madly, Jay hurled herself into the swarm, her blade sweeping wide. Every insect in her path was sliced clean apart. So this is what power feels like. It's intoxicating. She crouched low, palms pressing against the ground, then launched herself into the air. Under the terrified gaze of the swarm, her body soared 30 meters high. Clenching her fist, she dove like a thunderbolt, roaring, "All of you die!" The impact hit like a nuclear blast, reducing the remaining monsters into a storm of blood and shattered flesh. From the mountain of corpses, Jay rose slowly. After slaughtering every single being in the dungeon, spending 634,434 hours, she had finally ascended to A rank. She lifted her head, her eyes radiating the crushing pressure of a true predator. At that very moment, the hidden dungeon's gate creaked open. "So it's finally over? I've lingered here long enough," she whispered with a twisted smile. "Time to go out there and kill those bastards. I can't wait any longer." Outside the dungeon, the teammates who had abandoned Jay were already at each other's throats. Nara shouted, "How could you lock Jay inside? She was your girlfriend." Hyan-chan shot back defensively, "And you didn't run too? Why pin all the blame on me?" The man in red tried to calm things down, but the blonde with yellow streaks sneered mockingly. "Teeth, looks like Nara really cares about her fellow C rank, huh?" Nara's face burned with rage. "So what if your rank is higher? That doesn't make you better. I'll never team up with people like you again. Once we're out, I'll expose everything you've done." The golden-haired one scoffed. "Please. People dying in a dungeon is completely normal." Hyan-chan gave a cold laugh. "If we had abandoned you, do you really think a mere C rank could survive a B rank dungeon?" He added smoothly, "What I mean is, let's just act like none of this ever happened. That's what's best for everyone. Put bluntly, it'll look like Jay chose to leave the team on her own." Before the words had even faded, a deafening crash rang out. The hidden dungeon's gate shattered into pieces. Through the swirling dust, a lone figure strode out, her voice calm and mocking. "What's this? Everyone's still alive. It's been a while." It was Jay, the very girl they had abandoned. Hyan-chan's chest tightened. What the hell does she mean, it's been a while? More importantly, how could a mere C-rank tank possibly survive that hellish nest of insects? As Nara froze in shock, shameless Hyan-chan rushed forward, throwing his arms around Jay with a pitiful look. "I'm sorry. I couldn't save you back then. I was thinking of the team. I had no choice." Jay's voice was unervingly calm. "I know. I won't blame you." Hyan-chan's heart leapt with triumph. "I knew it. Our kind, forgiving Jay would understand me." But the next second, his gaze locked with hers, eyes calm yet laced with madness. A chill froze him on the spot. Her clothes were shredded to rags, yet not a single wound marked her body. Something was wrong. Terribly, terrifyingly wrong. At that moment, the man in red stepped forward with a cheerful grin. "Jay, it's amazing you made it out alive. Now we can finally take down the boss together." Jay lifted her hand to her lips and laughed softly. "You haven't beaten it yet? Were you waiting for me?" Hyan-chan stared at her, so submissive, so much like the Jay from before. Maybe I was just overthinking it. Ignoring the captain completely, the red-clad man wrapped an arm around Jae's shoulders and led her toward the exit. Watching his teammates crowd affectionately around her, Hyun-chan forced himself to believe it. Maybe it really was all in his head. The hunter squad's target this time was none other than a B-rank monster. Hiding behind a massive tree, Hyun-chan barked orders. Same as always. Jae pulls aggro, the rest of us look for openings. Stick to the plan. Before he could finish, Jae shot forward like lightning. With a thunderous crash, her shield slammed deep into the ground. Clenching her fists, she unleashed a battle cry from her core, the shockwave so fierce it nearly ripped the tree from its roots. The colossal beast, enraged at being provoked by such a small human, roared as its iron hooves pounded the earth in fury. From behind the tree, Hyun-chan roared in panic. Jae, have you lost your mind? The others scrambled forward, instinctively hiding behind her for protection. The monster's eyes burned crimson as it bellowed, charging with unstoppable force. Hyun-chan tried to steady the team. Stay calm. It's only a B-rank boss. As long as Jae holds the line, we'll be fine. Before the words had even settled, Jae raised her shield and leapt 20 meters into the air. From that height, everything on the ground looked tiny beneath her. Hyun-chan and the man in red stared up in shock, a single thought crossing their minds. Is she running away? But the earth-shaking impact of the monster's charge snapped the red-clad man back to reality. If Jae dodged, he would be the first to die. The crimson-eyed beast let out a furious roar, lowering its head for a devastating charge. In the next instant, its antlers skewered the red-clad man, lifting him high into the air. Only then did Jae descend, her shield slamming down onto the monster's skull with a thunderous crash. She strolled toward the man impaled on the antlers, a faint smile curling her lips. Hurts, doesn't it? The red-clad man trembled like a leaf, unable to utter a single word. Tilting her head, Jae offered an insincere apology, her tone mocking. Oops. I was just too scared, so I dodged. But I'm sure everyone will understand. Right? Jae then settled herself on the monster's back, forcing the beast to charge straight at Hyun-chan and the others. Without a tank to shield them, the party had no way to counter the boss's assault and could do nothing but scramble to dodge. Hyun-chan shouted desperately, his voice cracking. Jae, are you insane? What the hell do you think you're doing? She turned her head slowly, her voice icy. Why don't you tell me, what do I look like I'm doing? Stop this nonsense. Hyun-chan yelled. Get down from there now. Jae's expression darkened. Nonsense? Do you really think I'm joking? The entire group fell silent, no one daring to answer. A cruel smile tugged at her lips. In that case, let's see who survives to the end. With that, she drove the monster forward, its massive antlers slashing toward them. The party narrowly escaped, dodging frantically. But after evading stomp after stomp, their stamina was nearly spent. One of the teammates turned to Hyun-chan, trembling. Captain, what do we do now? Hyun-chan gritted his teeth. I'll keep casting heals and attacks from the back. You focus on tanking up front. The teammate hesitated, her face pale. She had never taken the brunt of a boss monster's assault before. But Hyun-chan barked. This isn't the time to hesitate. If we stall any longer, we're all dead. I'm the captain. If you don't want to die, then do as I say. I'll support you. Just hold the line and we'll get out alive. At that moment, Jae stepped forward, her voice cold and cutting. Are you all finished talking? Good. Then let's start over. With no choice, the party scrambled into battle stance, bracing for the incoming attack. Yet Hyun-chan couldn't shake the thought. How could a mere C-rank like Jae possibly control a B-rank boss? As the monster thundered toward them, he shouted the order, block it. Terrified but desperate, the teammate triggered her defensive skill, forcing herself to withstand the beast's brutal charge. For a fleeting moment, Hyun-chan thought she had succeeded, until the very next instant, the monster's sheer force sent her body flying. He stared at the mangled corpse on the ground and hopeless despair swallowed him whole. Jae was taken aback by the monster's performance. Wasn't this supposed to be just a B-rank boss? How could it be this strong? She quickly pulled up its stats. Durklak. Level. Strength. 6018. Intelligence. 69. Endurance. 8,920. Agility, 5,038. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Why does a B rank boss now read as an A rank? Then she noticed a glowing buff icon shimmering over its body. Could this be tied to the parasitic ring? Forget it. Doesn't matter. With a cold smirk, she directed the beast to charge at Hyan again. Hyan-chan's thoughts raced. So that's it, she must have picked up some hidden item in the dungeon. That would explain both her control over the boss and her sudden change in personality. I'm sorry, Jay. His voice cracked as he suddenly dropped to his knees. Jay blinked in surprise. Why are you apologizing? Hyan-chan's face twisted with guilt. For abandoning you that day, for shutting you in, and for forcing you to forgive me. Everything I did, it was all wrong. Jay's voice turned sharp and cold. Hyan-chan, is that really what you think the problem is? You still don't understand why I'm angry. There's only one reason. Desperate, Hyan-chan stammered. Then tell me. What is it? Her eyes hardened like ice, though a mocking smile tugged at her lips. That's right. The problem is your very existence. You bastard. With a thunderous stomp of the beast's hooves, Hyan-chan was crushed into nothing but a smear of blood. Jay's revenge was complete. She threw back her head and laughed maniacally. Then abruptly her laughter cut off. Her eyes snapped open, pink irises gleaming with icy madness. Leaping down from the monster, she strode toward Nara and asked coldly, "Do you want to live?" Nara trembled violently, pleading desperately for her life. A memory surfaced, how back then Nara alone had tried to stop Hyan-chan from shutting the door. Jay's tone softened only slightly. From now on, you'd better listen to me carefully. You're alive only because you tried to stop him that day, she warned, her gaze sharp as a blade. Don't ever forget what it means to be human. Just as they turned to leave, the berserk monster suddenly roared and charged at them. One more thing, if you ever say the wrong words. Her sentence trailed off as she spun, sword flashing. In an instant, blood sprayed through the air. The monster was cleaved clean in half with a single strike. Jay's voice was glacial. If you say the wrong thing, you already know the consequences. Nara nodded frantically, swearing she understood. Jay added coldly, we're on the same boat now. Betray me outside and you're dead. Nara stammered her promise. I won't. I swear I won't. Jay lowered her blade, eyes still burning cold. Good. Now, we just need to grab the magic stone and then we're leaving. A moment later, the area outside the dungeon was packed with staff, the Hanshin Guild's dungeon operations unit. At last, Jay and Nara stepped out. A staffer approached first. Where are the others? Dead, Jay replied flatly. Nara rushed to explain. The boss suddenly ranked up. Everyone died protecting us. Jay nearly laughed at that. Scrambling to cover, Nara told the staff. She's holding back tears. We're exhausted. We'll drop off the mana stone and get some rest. A voice from behind stopped them cold. 3 D ranks dead, 2 C ranks alive from a B rank dungeon? The man stepped forward. You'll report everything that happened inside. No omissions. It was the Hanshin Guild master Onbaid, Hyan-chan's uncle. Jay remembered then. This particular headache still hadn't been settled. After hearing their account, Onbaid erupted in fury, scolding the two for failing even the simple duty of supporting their teammates, blaming them for the deaths of the others. Jay, however, barely listened. She yawned lazily as if bored. Nara was bewildered. She killed them all herself. How can she stay so calm? If anyone finds out, we'll both end up in prison. Onbaid, meanwhile, looked troubled. With Hyan-chan dead, he had no idea how to explain it to his father. He muttered about how the guild was struggling financially. Jay's eyes drifted to the gold watch on his wrist. Struggling? Then where did all those luxuries come from? That designer suit you're wearing, that car you drive, it's worth millions. We risk our lives in dungeons and get paid the bare minimum. Yet you, the guild master, waste money like it's nothing. Onbaid was stunned into silence, unprepared for Jay's blunt words. In his memory, she had always been timid, cowering behind Hyan-chan like a criminal, too afraid to speak. But he forced his tone back to authority. Regardless, you will answer for this. Don't even think about resting now. Onbaid barked out an order. Prepare another dungeon for tomorrow. Nara rushed forward, panicked. Guildmaster, this isn't right. Shut your mouth, he roared. People died and you still complain? You should be grateful. We're already short on hunters and now this mess. While he frowned, pondering where to find someone to replace Hyun-chan, Jae strode toward him without hesitation. Inwardly he cursed, damn that girl. She should have died in place of her boyfriend. Even if she's only C rank, I'll find a way to exploit her. But as he turned his head, the next instant Jae's boot slammed upward, striking him square in the groin. Agonizing pain twisted his face, cold sweat pouring down in rivers. Everyone present froze, shocked by the sudden assault. Watching the guild master writhe and cry out on the ground, Jae sneered. Not bad, huh? Quit whining, bastard. If you're broke and short on hunters, why don't you step into the dungeon yourself? Or are you just too scared to do it? Bade writhed in agony, convinced Jae had gone mad. Without Hyun-chan, she'd finally shown her true colors. Jae clutched her stomach, laughing wildly. No wonder you're Hyun-chan's uncle. Your words are just as pathetic and laughable as his. Jae snapped coldly, I don't give a damn about your family drama. Call me crazy if you want, but your precious nephew already died in my place. Bade's eyes widened in disbelief. What are you talking about? I'm just telling the truth, you idiot, Jae sneered. So Hyun-chan's matter ends here. Don't bring it up again, understand? Oh, and one more thing. I'm quitting the guild. No, you can't. Bade shouted in panic. If you leave too then. She cut him off sharply. You had your chance to do things right. Or what? Do you want another kick? Terrified, Bade clutched at his groin instinctively. Jae's voice was ice. There's one more thing. She pulled a bill from her pocket and tossed it at his feet. It's not much, but consider it Hyun-chan's funeral fee. Make sure you send him off properly. Bade sputtered incoherently, his face flushed red with rage. Ignoring his fury, Jae and Nara turned to leave. On the way out, Nara whispered gratefully, Thank you for looking out for me. But the guild master is an unawakened. Won't this cause trouble? Jae dismissed it with a shrug. He'll live. Not long after, Jae followed Nara back to her home. Glancing at the print on Nara's shirt, Jae asked casually, So, you into rock bands? Nara chuckled. Not really. I just picked this up at a regular clothing store. Jae's eyes lit up. That's so cool. I should have bought something like that too. Nara shrugged. You still can, can't you? But Jae's mood suddenly dipped. Hyun-chan never liked that style. Nara turned sharply. What are you talking about? He's dead. Yeah, he's dead, isn't he? Jae's lips curled into a grin. Then to Nara's shock, she flopped onto the bed and burst into laughter. Because I killed him with my own hands. Nara froze, her stomach twisting with dread. Every time Jae had one of these fits, it terrified her to the core. Carefully, she asked, Why did you suddenly come to my place? Don't you have your own home? Jae's smile faded into silence. After a pause, she murmured, Can I stay here for a while? I used to live with Hyun-chan. I don't want to go back there now. Panic surged in Nara's chest. She guessed that if she refused, Jae might actually kill her. Swallowing hard, she agreed. Jae's expression softened briefly. Thank you. Trying to shift the subject, Nara asked, I've already quit the guild. What about you? Have you thought about joining another one? Jae shook her head slowly. No, I haven't thought about it. Nara sighed in exasperation. So what about living expenses? Jae replied flatly, I've got 20 million won in my account. That should last me for a while. What? Only 20 million? Nara's eyes widened. How do you only have that much? Hyun-chan used to brag everywhere that he was covering your rent and living costs. Jae shrugged. Oh, he only paid the deposit. Everything else I split myself. Nara fell silent, disbelief twisting into disgust. Unbelievable. Even about something like this he lied. That was when she realized Jae had absolutely no plans for the future. Things kept going like this, she might just freeload here forever. Nara knew she couldn't let that happen. Gathering her courage, she asked, So, what are you planning now? Find a new place? Or maybe a job? Jae's expression turned distant. I don't want to do anything right now. I already did what I wanted to do, so I don't know what comes next. Nara hesitated, then asked carefully, And what was it that you wanted to do? Jay's lips curled into a chilling smile. Isn't it obvious? To find you all, and kill you. Nara's heart sank. I knew it. Forcing herself to swallow the fear, she whispered, Thank you for sparing me. Jay found Nara's reaction amusing, a wicked smile tugging at her lips. Just then her stomach growled loudly. Nara glanced over. Hungry? Jay nodded. Yeah. We haven't eaten all day. Do you want chicken or maybe pig's feet? She paused, then added in a low voice, I don't know anything else. Hyan-chan always didn't let me eat at night, saying that I would get fat. Nara's face twisted in anger. What? That lunatic. He deserved to die. Jay blinked, curious. Why are you suddenly so mad? Nara snapped. Who wouldn't be? Jay's smile softened. You're the first person who's ever gotten angry for my sake. Nara snorted. Ask anyone on the street. They'd all call him insane. Whatever. I'll order something. We'll eat and then get some real sleep. Still fuming, she thought bitterly, who makes someone fight monsters on an empty stomach? The two finally decided to go out together for pig's feet. Night fell and Nara was already fast asleep. Jay, however, lay awake, replaying Nara's earlier question in her mind. What do you want to do? It was something she hadn't truly thought about in a long time. Right now, she had no desire to return to dungeons, no interest in joining a guild. All she wanted was rest. Maybe just picking up odd jobs and living quietly wouldn't be so bad. But suddenly, her eyes snapped open, glowing red with shock and fear. She sat upright, gasping for air. What was that just now? Is there something inside my stomach? Her thoughts immediately went to the parasitic ring. Could it be the cause? She decided to try taking it off. Yet the instant her fingers brushed the band, a glowing message appeared. Warning. Once equipped, the parasitic ring cannot be removed. Staring at the words, dread flooded her chest. Even with exclusive items, she had never heard of equipment that could never be taken off. And the name, parasitic, felt far too ominous. Forget it, she muttered through clenched teeth and tried to rip it off by force. In the next second, her body blazed with searing green light. Something writhed in her abdomen, pain tearing through her gut. She clutched her stomach weakly, trembling. It was as if the ring itself was warning her. Removal is forbidden. Jay's eyes lingered on the glowing message. Parasitic Ring X. Alters the wearer's life force, enhances regeneration, and prevents death until incubation is complete. Her gaze froze on the last line. She remembered seeing that same warning back in the dungeon, and a question gnawed at her. What exactly is supposed to hatch? Her mind conjured a nightmarish vision. A grotesque insect tearing its way out of her body, blood spraying, screams twisting in agony. A chill crept down her spine. The ring had saved her life, yes, but her instincts screamed at her not to relax, that she had to find a way to rip it off. The first step was learning what this thing truly was. But going through official channels? Impossible. An EX rank item revealed to the world would only draw endless trouble. If she wanted answers, she'd have to look off the record, through illegal means. Time slipped away unnoticed. The first rays of dawn spilled through the window. Sitting quietly at the edge of the bed, Jay let a faint, relieved smile curve her lips. The confusion and dread of the night had faded with the darkness. But deep down she knew, this was nowhere near the end. The scene shifted. Jay and Nara were now riding in a taxi. Nara frowned. Why did you suddenly go to the hospital this morning? Just a stomachache, Jay replied casually. Nothing serious. Then she added, from now on I want to live with you. Nara's eyes widened in shock. No way. Jay tilted her head. Why not? I'll pay rent. Nara shook her head firmly. Doesn't matter, it's already too cramped. Then we'll just move to a bigger place, Jay said matter-of-factly. Even with the tempting offer, Nara stood her ground. Not even when Jay half-joked, half-threatened about killing her did she back down. Finally, Jay relented. Fine. Once I save enough money, I'll move out. I'm not going back to Hyan-chan's place. Nara nodded in agreement with that, though she still refused Jay's idea of pooling their money together. But how are you going to earn money? You just quit the guild yesterday, Nara pressed. Jay shrugged. I'll pick up a part-time job. Or maybe dog fighting. Nara nearly exploded. Are you insane? You'd actually go to a place like that? Jay stayed calm. I'll make money for you too. Just bet on me to win. Dogfighting sounded simple. It wasn't about real dogs. Here the dogs were low-ranked awakeners. They were thrown into a ring, forced to fight while gamblers bet on who would come out alive. The winners of the wagers reaped the profits. Nara frowned. But you're not really C rank anymore. If you hide your true level, won't they call it cheating? Jay smirked. My hunter's license still says C rank. And come on, it's already illegal. A little fraud won't make a difference. Nara fell silent, cornered by that logic. After a moment she asked, then, if we play the odds right we could make guaranteed money, couldn't we? Jay's lips curled into a sharp smile. Nah, you're finally starting to get it. A short while later the two arrived at their destination. Nara frowned at the sight. This just looks like a convenience store. My little brother mentioned this place once, Jay explained. Nara blinked. You have a brother? Jay ignored the question and brushed past her. We'll see once we go inside. The door creaked open. Behind the counter sat a woman in her early 50s, busy with a needle and thread. Jay approached. I'm looking for something. The woman gave a half-hearted reply, her fingers never pausing their work. Jay slipped out her hunter's license and held it out. The woman glanced at it, then said flatly, I've seen plenty like you. Don't get yourself hurt. Join a guild and settle down. I quit my guild yesterday, Jay replied calmly. The woman frowned. Then join another one. You're C rank. Easier to find work than the decent, yes. Jay let out a weary sigh. I just want to rest for a while. I'm sick of it all. The woman scoffed, thinking Jay was spoiled. Someone who didn't realize how lucky she really was. She rubbed her eyes, scrutinizing the girl more carefully. Then she asked slowly, Tell me, have you killed before? I was wondering what kind of good girl ends up in a place like this. Jay's eyes darkened instantly, crimson pupils brimming with lethal intent. Yet her lips curved into a chilling smile. My sister, your words are scary. I'd never do something like that. Still, she leaned forward, voice dropping to a low whisper. So, what'll it take to let me in? The woman said nothing more, simply raised one finger. The gesture was clear, an introduction fee of 1,000,000 won. Jay caught on immediately. Can I pay by card? You can, the woman replied coolly. But it'll cost you an extra 10%. Bring cash next time. Once the payment was done, she pointed toward a dim hallway. Straight ahead. End of the hall. The two pushed aside the curtain and stepped inside. Nara muttered under her breath. That fee was way too steep. Jay shrugged. Doesn't matter. I'll be raking in money soon enough. Inside, spotlights illuminated the ring, the crowd roaring with excitement. Jay suddenly regretted coming. Bets here were cash only. She turned to ask Nara if she had any but realized Nara was gone. Scanning the crowd, she spotted her. Nara was nervously hovering over the betting boxes, debating where to place her bills. That's when Jay noticed. Nara had brought a stash of cash hidden from her. When Nara returned to her seat, she froze under Jay's unblinking stare, her face etched with displeasure. Panicked, Nara stammered, What's with that look? Did I do something wrong? Jay's tone was sharp. When I paid the entrance fee you stayed silent, made me waste 1.1 million won at the counter. Nara snapped back defensively. That was your fee to pay. Money doesn't just fall from the sky. Don't you own a place anyway? Jay narrowed her eyes, voice cold. That isn't my place. It belongs to the landlord. Half of it's still under the bank's name. Right now, I don't even have a home to go back to. Their argument was abruptly cut off by a voice from behind. Jay turned, her gaze locking onto a pair of pale gray eyes. A red-haired youth stood there, one hand tucked casually into his pocket. His dark inner shirt outlined a lean waist, while the open brown jacket revealed hints of defined abs. His tone was soft, almost playful. First time here, isn't it? Mind if I sit next to you? Jay hesitated, then nodded her assent. Settling in beside her, the man asked with curiosity, So, who are you betting on? Desert Dominator or Ocean Storm? Jay shook her head. I'm not betting. Her lips curved faintly. I'm going to fight. The real question is, who do you think will win? The man's smile widened. For me it's simple. Always back the strongest one. Someone like you. Jay's chest tightened. Did he somehow peek at my level? She quietly activated her scan ability, intent on reading his stats. But the next instant her eyes widened. Every field was blank. Strength, agility, rank. Nothing registered. Her skill had failed completely. Considering she was now an A rank, that could only mean one thing. This man was her equal or stronger. Boy, Jay thought, unsettled. Why would someone like him be in a place like this? The man arched a brow. You do realize the fighters here are capped at C rank, don't you? Then why insist on entering? To him, the logic was simple. Licenses were always checked. If Jay had made it through, she must be a falsified registrant. Jay scoffed, eyes flashing. You're the sneaky one, spying on other people's levels. Why don't you mind your own business and just watch the match? Before things escalated, Nara jumped in. Uncle, that's enough. Our hunter licenses are legitimate. The man shot her a sidelong glance, lips curling in disdain. Nara bristled. If you're drunk, then sit quietly and watch the fight. Don't pick fights with strangers. Jay blinked, thrown off. Uncle, who exactly are you talking about? Nara replied without hesitation. The guy sitting right next to you. His face is all red, he's obviously a drunk uncle. To Nara's eyes, the red-haired youth wasn't a youth at all. He appeared as a balding middle-aged man. Jay blinked in disbelief. Are you blind? He's clearly our age. But Nara shot back firmly. What are you talking about? He's obviously a bald uncle. The man, overhearing it all, finally let out a quiet laugh. Jay fixed her gaze on him, unease gnawing at her. She was certain now. This man had to be using some kind of special artifact to conceal his true identity. The sharp ring of the bell echoed, and the two fighters in the ring squared off. The match had begun. Nara leaned forward, eyes alight with anticipation. She had bet every last bill she brought. But when she noticed the man beside her still chuckling, anger flared. If you don't want to be thrown out, then shut up and watch, she snapped. The man only shrugged, giving a casual nod. Jay, however, was still turning over her earlier suspicions. Most people here were either unawakened or low-ranked hunters. They wouldn't even notice the man's disguise. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. On the left corner, the one they call the Desert Dominator, A-rank hunter Park Desu, and his challenger, known as the Ocean Storm D-rank hunter Shim Bei-won. Nara whispered, "Who do you think will win?" Jay answered flatly, "Rank decides everything." Nara nodded in agreement and with no hesitation, placed all her cash on the D-rank. The man glanced at her wager with amusement. "It's not too late to change your bet," he said lightly. Nara shot him a glare. "Mind your own business." Suddenly, Park Desu lunged forward, locking his arms around his opponent's waist like a rabid dog, slamming him hard to the ground. There was no finesse, no strategy, just a brutal brawl, raw violence where only one outcome mattered: victory or defeat. When Shim Bei-won's fist grazed past his head, Park sank his teeth into the man's arm, tearing into flesh with savage force. The crowd gasped in shock, cries echoing through the arena. The red-haired man exchanged a knowing glance with Jay. This match was already decided. Only Nara clung to hope, muttering, "No, he's about to fight back. I know it." But in the blink of an eye, it was over. The outcome was sealed. Nara sat frozen, her soul nearly leaving her body. Every last bill she had bet was gone. The man chuckled beside her, mocking. "Should have listened to me. Would have saved yourself the trouble." Jay, amused by both the savage fight and Nara's misery, let a faint ironic smile tug at her lips. Nara suddenly grabbed Jay by the collar, teeth clenched. "How can you still laugh? You said the D-rank would win. What about my money?" Jay's brow furrowed, her eyes turning icy. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" Realizing she had crossed the line, Nara quickly let go and muttered an apology. "Sorry, I lost control." "Then, when do you plan to fight?" Jay shook off her hand, voice cold. "I'm not fighting. Not now." With that, she turned and strode toward the exit. She ignored Nara's calls behind her. Her thoughts were already elsewhere. She had noticed the man's disguise item and it reeked of illegality. If he knew about such things, he might know the black channels she needed. Before long, she caught up to him at the exit. The man glanced back, smirking. "What, gave up already? Guess you've got some conscience after all." Jay scoffed. How could I fight after being exposed? But thanks to you I didn't make a cent. You owe me compensation. The man spread his hands, amusement in his tone. Why should I? Don't waste your high rank in a dump like this. Join a guild, you'll make more there anyway. Jay's gaze sharpened. This is just a hobby. So, but you, why are you here? And why hide behind an illegal item? The man didn't flinch. His voice stayed calm. Same reason. Hobby. And I pretended not to notice you cheating, didn't I? Let's just walk away. No harm done. Jay narrowed her eyes, voice hard as steel. Not a chance. I need your supply routes. Tell me, where did you get that item? The man's eyes hardened, a sneer curling his lips. What, planning to turn criminal now? Too bad, I'm not telling you. Jay let out a humorless laugh, danger flickering in her gaze. Stubborn to the very end, huh? Before he could reply, a thunderous crash echoed from behind them, shaking the floor. The entrance burst open as dozens of police officers stormed in, flashlights sweeping across the arena. Police raid. We've received a tip-off about illegal gambling. The man's face tightened. He spun on his heel, ready to bolt, only for Jay to seize his arm in a firm grip. He hissed under his breath, panic lacing his tone. What the hell are you doing? Let me go. Jay's smile was cold, sharp. Pick one. Take me to your source or get arrested with me right now. With officers closing in and Jay's iron grip refusing to budge, the man cursed under his breath. To avoid unnecessary trouble, he finally relented, nodding his reluctant agreement. A heartbeat ago, the cabin in the forest was silent. The next, it was engulfed in a roaring explosion, flames devouring it whole. Taking advantage of the chaos, the two bolted out, sprinting into the trees one behind the other. Jay hadn't expected the man to blow the place up outright. Are you insane? She hissed, but he only said, stay close. As they ran, he shot her a sidelong glance, his tone edged with disbelief. I don't get you. What's the point of all this? Don't tell me you actually want to be a criminal. Gasping for breath, Jay snapped back. I just want an appraisal. Maybe pick up something that interests me. Darkness thickened as night fell. Jay's lungs burned, her legs heavy with exhaustion. Yet the man ahead never slowed. Her mind reeled. That speed. No way he's just A rank. S rank? How much farther? She panted. We're here. His reply was curt, absolute. She blinked in confusion. Before them stretched nothing but a vine-covered mountain wall. Without a word, he placed his palm against the stone, fingers searching along its surface until they stopped at one point. Once we're inside, don't use my name, he warned. Jay scoffed. I don't even know your name. What, are you supposed to be famous? He paused, then let out a short laugh. Maybe she really was the only hunter who didn't recognize him. Kim Dongju, he introduced at last. We're the same age, so drop the honorifics. Jay nodded. As the stone gate rumbled open, she finally learned the truth. Kim Dongju, 26. The same age as her. The two walked deeper into the cave, chatting as they went, until the tunnel suddenly opened up into a sprawling underground black market. Jay's eyes sparkled with curiosity as she scanned the scene. Rows of stalls carved into the rock, dim lanterns casting jagged shadows. Who on earth could have dug out a place like this? When Dongju casually revealed the answer, that it had been carved out by hunters, Jay froze in surprise. Hunters? Why would they do this kind of work? She asked, baffled. His voice dropped, edged with coldness. Some awakened hunters have criminal records. Others commit crimes after awakening. Most of them end up in places like this. Jay narrowed her eyes at him. You sound like you know a little too much. Don't tell me you used to run with them. Dongju chuckled, his tone laced with meaning. I've spent some time here, yes. But no, I'm no convict. Then what are you now? With your rank, don't tell me you're running a guild. Jay pressed. Dongju's lips curved into a sly smile, his gaze unreadable. I'm just one among many. As for which guild, he leaned back slightly. That's a secret. The scene shifted. An elderly woman, easily in her 80s, sat behind a dimly lit stall, her wrinkled face shadowed by the flickering lamp. She examined the ring on Jay's hand carefully. Where did you get this thing? She asked. From a dungeon, Jay replied calmly. But it's bound to me. I can't take it off. The woman's eyes widened, disbelief flashing across her face. Impossible. Even bound items always have a condition for release. To be utterly irremovable, this is the first I've ever seen. She sounded genuinely unsettled. Behind them, Kim Dongju stood silently, his gaze sharp as he observed the exchange. Jae's lips pressed into a thin line. Even here, no one can identify it? Mind if I try removing it for you? The old woman asked cautiously. Go ahead. Jae extended her hand. But the moment the woman's fingers brushed the ring, pain lanced through her abdomen like a knife twisting inside her. What in the? The woman jerked back, startled. Jae gritted her teeth, sweat beading on her brow. Every time someone tries to take it off, I feel a stabbing pain in my stomach. It happened last night too. The woman hesitated, then said gravely, if nothing else, you must at least know its name. Jae's eyes flickered with unease. She knew revealing it would bring more trouble than answers. After a pause, she lied softly, all it shows is unknown. Unknown. The woman blinked, then sighed, shaking her head. Then there's nothing I can do. With no other choice, Jae turned away, rising from her seat. I'll be going then. Just as Jae was about to leave, a glint of gold in the corner of the stall caught her eye, an old-fashioned earring. She cast her appraisal skill and a glowing panel appeared. Shadow earring. Rank C. Effect. Conceals the wearer's stats, ineffective against hunters 2 or more ranks higher. Jae's heart skipped. Perfect. With this, even A-rank hunters won't be able to read me. She looked up at the old woman. How much for this? 3 million, the woman replied flatly. For someone of your low rank, it's hardly useful. You sure you want it? I'm sure, Jae said firmly. Do you take cards? The old woman arched a brow, clearly surprised. Down here, we usually only deal in cash. With a resigned sigh, Kim Dongju stepped forward. I'll cover it. Jae eagerly put on the earring, her fingers brushing her earlobe as she turned to him. Well, can you still see my stats? Dongju studied her for a moment, then shook his head. No, you're A rank, so I guess it fails only against S rank and above. Jae nodded. Exactly. Not that I expect to run into anyone like that. Dongju's smile was faint but edged with warning. You'd be surprised. Anything can happen. Yet more than the earring itself, what intrigued Dongju was the question that lingered in his mind. What kind of item could Jae possibly be hiding that made her so desperate to conceal her rank? At his words, Jae stiffened but quickly feigned nonchalance, pretending to be distracted by the trinkets scattered across the market stalls. Seeing her avoidance, Dongju merely arched a brow but let the matter drop. Inside, however, Jae's thoughts churned. Should I try another appraisal? The idea flickered briefly, only to be crushed by her own caution. If rumors spread, it would only draw dangerous attention. Still, doing nothing wasn't an option. A sudden thought jolted her. The hidden dungeon. If she could find it again, maybe she could uncover a way to return the ring. To date, only 11 hidden dungeons had ever appeared worldwide. One had been discovered in Korea, and some were even known to reappear. Unlike regular dungeons, hidden ones didn't vanish after being cleared. They simply reset. That meant the dungeon where she had once been trapped had to be waiting somewhere, reborn. Jae clenched her fist, resolve hardening. She had to find it and return the parasitic ring to where it belonged. The catch, of course, was that entry into such dungeons required guild authorization. And the last thing she wanted was to join another guild. Dongju's thoughts drifted back to his earlier exchange with the old woman. At first, it had only been a squabble over the earring's price. He dismissed her as just another greedy seller, not someone who took her work seriously. But then she had said something that froze him in place. Has a new dungeon appeared recently? Otherwise, how could I have never seen such an item before? The word struck him like a spark. Without another moment's hesitation, he'd paid the full price in cash and hurried away. Now, crouched beside Jae, his voice was casual, almost playful. I've got a hobby, collecting rare items. Jae arched a brow, her tone sharp. So what? You want this? She lifted her hand, showing the ring. Didn't you notice it can't even be removed? That's fine, Dongju replied with a smile that was far too calm. There's always a way. Worst case, cut off the whole finger. Jae shot him a disgusted look. You've got one hell of a sick hobby. His smile faded as his eyes narrowed. Funny thing though, no new dungeons have appeared lately. And yet here you are, wearing something I've never once seen before. You've been inside a hidden dungeon, haven't you? Jay stiffened. This man was only one rank higher than her, yet the pressure he radiated was suffocating. But compared to the agony of being devoured by swarms of insects, dying and reviving again and again for 72 years, his aura was nothing. Jay suddenly threw back her head and roared, unleashing war cry. The skill erupted like a shockwave, rattling the very air as Dongju stared at her in disbelief. He let out a half-laugh, half-sigh. Is she insane? Using a skill like that outside of a dungeon? Normally, when a lower-ranked awakened faced someone stronger, instinct would force them into submission. Yet Jay showed none of that. It was as if she had torn through the very chain that bound her. Dongju's thoughts churned. Is that raw defiance her nature, or something forged in hell itself? Slowly, Jay lowered her stance, cutting off the skill, her gaze sharp and unyielding. For a long moment, Dongju studied her against the smoky chaos of the black market. Finally, he exhaled and admitted, "All right, sorry. That joke went too far." But inside, his conviction hardened. This woman was the key to the hidden dungeon. His voice dropped, calm but resolute. "If you truly want to learn the truth about that ring, there's only one way. Let's find the hidden dungeon together. I'll help you." Cut to Nara, her head buried deep into the blanket as she muttered, muffled, "I don't want to eat." Jay frowned. She'd gone out of her way to buy Nara's favorite, pig's feet, and even grab some soju. Wasn't that enough to cheer her up? But Nara's voice trembled with frustration. "It's not about the food. I want to know where you went. How could you just leave me behind like that?" Jay gave a faint, almost bitter smile. "Didn't you all leave me behind once too?" The words struck Nara silent, her retort caught in her throat. Eventually, the two of them sat side by side, quietly sharing the food. Nara nibbled at the pig's feet, her voice barely above a whisper. Her eyes were still rimmed red from tears. Her earlier anger dissolved into something softer, almost pitiful. "So, what are you going to do now? The dogfight ring is gone. Maybe, tomorrow morning you could come with me to apply at a guild." Jay set down her glass, her gaze cold and distant. "I'm going to search for the hidden dungeon again. For a while. Don't expect me home early." Nara nearly dropped her chopsticks, eyes wide. "Wait, what? Why all of a sudden? And how exactly are you planning to find it?" Jay answered calmly, almost casually. "Simple. Keep clearing dungeons until I come across it." "That's not what I meant." Nara waved her hands frantically. "You're not even in a guild right now. How are you supposed to get inside a dungeon?" Jay took another sip of soju, her tone flat. "That part's already solved. Kim Dongju said he'd help me." "Hold on, you mean the Kim Dongju? The S-rank hunter?" Nara's jaw practically hit the table. Jay blinked. She hadn't expected Nara to recognize the name so quickly, especially when she herself hadn't realized who the man beside her was that night. "No way. Don't mess with me," Nara shot back, suspicion all over her face. "Someone like him would never be at a dogfight arena. Whoever you met was a con man." To prove her point, she whipped out her phone and pulled up a picture. "See? This is the real Kim Dongju. Don't go confusing him with some bald uncle. They're decades apart. You've heard of Bahak Guild, right? He's with them." Jay stared at the photo, shock flickering across her features. "So he's from Bahak Guild?" Nara slammed her palms on the table in disbelief. The idea that Jay's uncle was actually Kim Dongju was absurd. Until Jay calmly explained, "He used an artifact that alters appearances." The moment Jay finished speaking, Nara froze as though struck by lightning. Then she clamped her hands over her mouth and let out a wail of despair. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? I didn't know a thing." She collapsed against the table with a sigh, her voice filled with regret. "If I'd known, I should have begged him to take me into his guild." Jay, unfazed, kept eating. "Bahak Guild isn't that special." "Not that special?" Nara slammed the table, eyes blazing. "If you get into Bahak Guild, you never have to worry about money again. Their benefits are insane." She leaned forward, nearly shouting. That guild was founded by one of only 2 SS-rank hunters in the entire world. And out of the 8 active S-rank hunters, 3 belong to Bahak. They're strong enough to shake nations. Bahak isn't just a guild, it's the strongest in the world. But Jae only shrugged, calmly chewing as if none of it concerned her. Nara stared at her, speechless with frustration before finally shoving a dish closer. Forget it. Just eat. At least eat more. The scene shifted. Jae's eyes were locked firmly on Kim Dongju as though she could pierce straight through him. Her unwavering stare made him frown in discomfort. What are you looking at me for? Jae smiled faintly. Nothing. Just, it's kind of surreal seeing someone from Bahak Guild up close. Kim Dongju stiffened. So she already knew? He had gone out of his way to hide it. Before he could reply, his gaze fell on the shield strapped to her back. Why are you carrying that around? Isn't it obvious? We're heading into a dungeon, Jae answered as if it were the most natural thing in the world. His lips curved, a secretive glint in his eyes. You'll understand once we're inside. He turned, motioning for her to follow. Yet after only a few steps he stopped abruptly and looked back. His expression suddenly sharp. Don't let your guard down. Illegal dungeons are far more dangerous than you think. No sooner had he spoken than they crossed into the dark passage. A hulking F-rank lizard soldier lunged from the shadows, its jaws gaping wide. But in the blink of an eye, the creature exploded into a spray of gore, collapsing lifelessly at their feet. Jae blinked in disbelief, then huffed. Dangerous, huh? That thing didn't even last a second. Kim Dongju smirked. Most monsters in illegal dungeons are below D rank. Jae stomped her foot in frustration. Ugh, you tricked me. Just wait, I'll get you back for this. Still, a sliver of doubt crept into her mind. Could a hidden dungeon really be lurking in a place this weak? Kim Dongju elaborated. Most hidden dungeons are actually discovered inside low-level ones. That's why you can't ignore places like this. Legal or not, every corner has to be searched. No wonder he had wondered about the shield on Jae's back. Against such weak monsters, defense seemed unnecessary. Suddenly, boom. A massive clawed foot covered in green scales slammed into the ground, shaking the earth beneath them. Emerging from the shadows was the dungeon's boss, an E-rank lizard general. Its yellow slit pupils swept across the chamber with wary hostility. Kim Dongju tilted his head, surprised. He had expected to find a hidden passage first, yet the boss had shown up instead. He glanced sideways at Jae. Want to hold off? We could search for the hidden entrance before taking it down. Jae paused only briefly. In the next heartbeat, her blade flashed with cold light. Before the creature could even react, she sliced clean through its upper jaw. To her, the fight was nothing but a waste of time. If there had been no sign of a hidden entrance by now, then this dungeon most likely didn't have one at all. Wiping her sword, she spoke flatly, "Let's go. I don't have time to waste here. We'll try another dungeon." The scene shifted, an ear-splitting screech tore through the air. A monstrous insect shrieked madly, its cry echoing like knives in the dark. Jae stood alone, shield raised, struggling under the storm of claws and fangs. Her desperate voice cracked as she screamed, "Hyan-chan, help me. I can't hold on." Then, two hands rested coldly on her shoulders. A voice whispered behind her, void of warmth, "Jae, you can die in my place. That's the only reason my family ever supported you, so you could be the scapegoat." Without hesitation, he shoved her forward. Her eyes widened in disbelief and despair as she plunged into the suffocating abyss, a hell swarming with endless insects. Ah! Jae jolted awake, gasping for air, drenched in cold sweat. Her chest heaved violently. She stared at her trembling hands for a long moment. Then, with a sharp inhale, she clenched them into fists. Her eyes glinted with icy resolve. The dead should stay silent. How dare you crawl into my dreams? Jae turned her head toward Nara, scoffing inwardly. Sleeping so soundly, while I can't even close my eyes without nightmares. Deep down, she knew the truth. Nara was only acting meek to survive. One day, sooner or later, she too would betray her. Killing her wouldn't be difficult, but not yet. Not until the thing inside her was dealt with. Not until she no longer needed to crawl through dungeons. Not until every chain on her body was broken. Her dark thoughts were interrupted by sudden rustling beside her. Nara was hurriedly throwing on clothes, fumbling with her bag. Jae asked lazily where she was going. An interview at the Hyan Guild, Nara blurted, frustration in her voice. Damn alarm clock didn't even ring. Want me to give you a ride? Jae offered casually. Nara froze. A ride? As far as she remembered, Jae didn't even own a car. But when she glanced out the window, her breath caught in her throat. The sleek lines of a black luxury sedan gleamed under the morning light. The luxury car turned out to be summoned by Jae. Behind the wheel sat none other than Kim Dongju, who leaned over with a warm smile and greeted Nara. Seeing the legendary S-rank hunter in person, Nara was completely stunned. Her throat went dry and words refused to come. Jae walked up beside her, grinning. Relax. He's our age, you don't have to act so stiff around him. But Nara's mind betrayed her, replaying the humiliating memory of when she'd mistaken him for a drunken old man. Heart pounding, she blurted out a flurry of apologies. The nerves proved too much. Her vision swam and she fainted on the spot. With a resigned sigh, Kim Dongju helped Jae lift her into the car. The three of them set off, the sedan gliding smoothly through the streets. After a moment, Jae glanced back. Nara, where should we drop you off? Nara stirred, her voice shaky. At the traffic light up ahead. That's fine. Kim Dongju chuckled and asked with interest. So, which guild are you interviewing with? Nara blurted out the answer without thinking. Hyan Guild. That was when Jae recalled. The guild master of Hyan had also once entered a hidden dungeon. Kim Dongju confirmed with a nod, adding, exactly. That single expedition was what fueled Hyan's explosive growth. Jae raised a brow. So, why not ask him to join us in the search? Kim Dongju's response was immediate and sharp. No. My ties with Hyan aren't good. The two began trading barbs, tension rising. From the back seat, Nara groaned, almost in tears. Please at least wait until I get out before you two start fighting again. Soon after, they dropped Nara off safely at her interview. With the car lighter and the air somewhat calmer, Jae and Kim Dongju drove on, arriving before long at their intended destination. At the entrance, Kim Dongju casually asked the staff about the dungeon's status. Their reply was short, you can head in now. Jae scanned the men by the doorway, sharp suits, dark shades, the air of gangsters clinging to them. Her brows furrowed. Kim Dongju smirked, don't be fooled. They're guild employees. Did you think even an illegal dungeon wouldn't be managed by someone? Jae's expression hardened. Laugh again and you're dead. Don't test me, I'll call the cops. Kim Dongju chuckled. If I get arrested, you'll be in trouble too. Jae shot back, voice dripping with mockery. Then I'll just go in with Hyan's guild master instead. That shut him up. Speechless, he could only watch as Jae strode forward, lips curling into a sharp, fearless smile. Let's get this over with. Once we find the hidden dungeon, we part ways. Her confidence was blinding, razor sharp and impossible to ignore. The staff nearby stood frozen, staring. Kim Dongju snapped, barking at them. What are you idiots gawking at? Get outside and keep watch. Jae stepped into the dungeon first, the cold air thick with silence. She frowned. Why was Kim Dongju still nowhere to be seen? Suddenly, the parasitic ring pulsed against her skin, a faint throb like a heartbeat. Jae froze, startled by the sudden surge. Her gaze dropped to the ring, brows knitting tight. Was it just her imagination? No. That nightmare from last night still lingered. Could it really be that the only way out was to cut off her own finger? Sorry to keep you waiting. Kim Dongju's voice echoed from behind, breaking her thoughts. Jae turned and snapped. What took you so long? He gave a quick apology, but Jae ignored him, her eyes drawn back to the glowing band around her finger. I need more information, she thought grimly. Even if she cut it off, there was no guarantee that the thing inside her would vanish too. The only hope left, find the hidden dungeon before it was too late. Unknowingly, a full month had passed inside the dungeon. Unlike typical labyrinths, this one stretched across a sky of floating islands, each shrouded in mist and shadow. A shrill, bone-piercing screech echoed overhead. 3 creatures with triple eyes circled high above. In an instant, they dove, razor claws extended, aiming straight for Jae. Her body moved before thought, swift, precise, devastating. Blades of light cut through the air, her strikes flowing like water. Within seconds, the monsters were shredded and fell into the abyss. Kim Dongju narrowed his eyes. Her attacks were sharper, harsher than usual. Something's off. Judging from the fruitless search today, the hidden entrance likely wasn't here anyway. He started, enough for now. Let's. But before he could finish, Jae snapped her head around, her gaze burning with feral hostility. In a blur, she lunged forward, her speed like a lightning bolt tearing through the air. Kim Dongju met her strike with ease, blocking effortlessly, his tone light but probing. What's this? Suddenly picking a fight with me?